It happened live, in front of millions. No warning, no script, just one stunned breath from Oprah Winfrey before she said the words no one ever expected to hear. "I owe Princess Catherine an apology, _" The studio went silent. Viewers gasped. Social media? Instant explosion. Clips went viral within minutes. Oprah apologizes on live TV. Trending worldwide. Was it real? Was it planned? And more importantly, why now? For years, Oprah had been seen as a powerful ally of Meghan Markle, even a platform that gave her side of the royal feud a global voice. But now, in one unforgettable moment, that foundation cracked. And as the cameras kept rolling, the tension only grew. Because behind that one sentence was a much bigger shift, a truth too heavy to ignore, and questions that no one was ready to face. Was this the undoing of Meghan's narrative? Was the world finally starting to see Catherine in a different light? But what made Oprah finally speak out? And what secrets did it expose? _. Let's go back to where it all began. Understand the weight of Oprah's apology. We have to rewind. Back to that night in March 2021. 2 chairs, 1 Californian garden, and the world watching with held breath. It was the interview that changed everything. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry sat across from Oprah Winfrey and dropped bombshell after bombshell. Talk of racism within the royal family, mental health struggles, being silenced, and a particularly chilling story about an emotional breakdown with no support from the firm. But it was the moment Meghan spoke of Princess Catherine that sparked quiet shock. Meghan recalled how, during the wedding planning, it was Catherine who made her cry, not the other way around. The tabloids had reported it all wrong, she said. She had been painted as a villain, when in truth, she was the one suffering in silence. And in that moment, Oprah leaned in with empathy. She didn't question. She didn't press. She gave Meghan what she needed: space and belief. Millions took Meghan's side. Catherine, silent, stoic as always, became the cold, composed duchess in the background of Meghan's emotional storm. For a while, the narrative stuck. Headlines were sympathetic. Hollywood rallied. And Oprah? She was seen as a truth-teller, the woman who finally exposed the monarchy's shadows. But something began to shift. Not loudly, not publicly, just subtly. As months passed, cracks appeared. Inconsistencies in the couple's claims. Public sympathy began to erode. People started asking questions. And Oprah? She started stepping back. No more glowing quotes. No more public praise. In interviews, she grew more careful, even admitting, softly, that she hadn't done the interview as a journalist, but as a friend who may not have known the full picture. Behind the scenes, sources whispered that Oprah felt used, that she regretted giving such a massive platform without deeper fact-checking, and that as Catherine's quiet dignity endured and Meghan's contradictions mounted, even Oprah began to reconsider the story she helped tell. So when Oprah finally spoke those unexpected words on live TV, it wasn't just an apology. It was an unraveling, _. And the story behind it goes far deeper than anyone imagined. Before she was Princess of Wales, before the crown, the palace, the titles, she was just Catherine Middleton. And long before Meghan Markle ever entered the royal stage, Catherine had already walked through her own fire. The press used to mock her. Waity Katie, they called her, for waiting nearly a decade before Prince William proposed. Her every outfit was dissected. Her smile, too forced. Her silence, too cold. Her role, the lights were warm. The studio was packed. Oprah Winfrey stood center stage, the spotlight catching a flicker of tension in her eyes. It was supposed to be an ordinary segment, a tribute to women who had shown courage through adversity. Nothing controversial, nothing unexpected. The crowd settled, the cameras rolled, and Oprah began. She spoke, at first, in that familiar, comforting tone, about strength, about grace under pressure, about the power of women who lead not by noise, but by quiet, unwavering dignity. The audience nodded. It felt safe, expected, until she paused. Just for a beat. She looked down, then up, and everything shifted. "I want to take a moment," she said slowly, her voice steady but thick with something deeper. "Because there's something I've carried for a while, and I need to say it publicly." The room went still. You could hear the shuffle of someone's coat, a cough in the corner. Even the crew froze behind the cameras. Oprah took a breath, and then it came, "I owe Princess Catherine an apology." Underscore. The word seemed to hang in the air. A ripple of gasps rolled through the audience. Heads turned. Mouths dropped open. Someone whispered, "Did she just say?" But Oprah kept going. Eyes soft, hands gently clasped. "Back in 2021, I sat down with Meghan and Harry. I listened. I gave them space. I believed what they shared. But I didn't ask enough questions. I didn't push. I didn't verify. I didn't consider what it might mean for someone else." Her voice cracked, ever so slightly. "I didn't consider what it might mean for Catherine." The room was silent. No applause now. Just wait. She was portrayed as cold, unkind, even cruel. And she never said a word in return. She stayed silent, dignified. And then, when the world learned she was quietly battling cancer, while still serving, still smiling, still showing up, something in me broke. Oprah blinked back emotion. I realized I contributed to a misunderstanding. I helped paint a picture that may not have been true. And for that, I am truly sorry. Underscore. A murmur of awe spread through the audience. People weren't used to hearing this. Not from celebrities, not from Oprah. She placed a hand over her heart. "Catherine, you deserve better. You deserve grace. The same grace you've shown the world, even through pain. And I hope this message reaches you." Then came the shift. This is not about tearing anyone down. Meghan told her story, and I don't take that away from her. But when one woman's truth overshadows another's, we have to pause and reflect. There was a long, almost reverent silence. Then a single person began to clap, then another and another, until the studio filled with applause, warm, slow, emotional. Not the kind of clapping that comes with excitement, the kind that comes with respect. Oprah nodded once, humbly. She didn't bask in it. She didn't dramatize. She just stood in the honesty of the moment. "We talk a lot about truth," she said in closing. "But sometimes truth takes time to see clearly. And when you finally do, you have to own it." Underscore. That was the moment. Not just a reckoning for Oprah, but for the millions who had once believed only one side of the story. A live apology, not scripted, not spun, not PR approved, but raw, brave, and overdue. And as the cameras panned over the stunned faces in the crowd, one thing became clear. Something had shifted. The moment Oprah spoke those words, "I owe Princess Catherine an apology," the world exploded. Social media ignited instantly. Hashtag Oprah apologizes trended worldwide within minutes. Thousands of tweets poured in, some praising Oprah's courage, others demanding long overdue justice for Catherine. Hashtag Justice for Catherine became a rallying cry among royal watchers and casual fans alike. In the midst of the storm, Meghan's team remained silent. No official response. No statement. But insiders whispered that Meghan was blindsided, caught off guard by Oprah's reversal. Some said she felt betrayed by a friend who had once stood so firmly by her side. Meanwhile, the palace moved carefully. No grand announcements. No direct comments. But behind closed doors, aides quietly praised Catherine's strength. Subtle messages circulated, honoring her resilience, her unwavering commitment to duty despite personal struggles. Public sentiment began to shift rapidly. For years, Oprah's reputation had been intertwined with Meghan's narrative, seen as a champion of their cause. But this apology restored her credibility as a woman willing to face uncomfortable truths. It was a reminder that even the most powerful voices can reflect, learn, and change. At the same time, Meghan's narrative came under renewed scrutiny. Documentaries, podcasts, and royal experts started re-examining the stories told in 2021, highlighting contradictions, unanswered questions, and moments that felt less like truth, more like performance. The ripple effect reached far beyond social media. Networks reconsidered future royal documentaries. Interviewers approached upcoming discussions with sharper, more critical questions. The public, too, grew more discerning, hungry for authenticity over spectacle. And through it all, Catherine remained steady. She continued her royal duties with the same quiet dignity she always had. Her appearances were graceful, measured. Her message consistent. Strength in silence, compassion in action. Cancer or no cancer. Controversy or no controversy. Catherine showed the world what true resilience looks like. In the end, the fallout wasn't just about Oprah's apology. It was a moment of reckoning. A moment where narratives were challenged. Where empathy met accountability. Where the cost of silence was finally understood. And while the story is far from over, one thing is clear. The game has changed. And the Princess of Wales is no longer the background figure in Meghan's story. She's her own story now that Oprah's live apology was more than just a public admission. It was a mirror held up to the complicated dance between truth, media, and power. In an age where narratives can be crafted and amplified in an instant, where social media shapes public opinion faster than facts can be checked, this moment reminded us how fragile truth really is. What happens when stories collide with reality? When emotional testimony meets cold, hard evidence? When the line between victim and villain blurs under the weight of competing narratives? Catherine's journey shows us something vital. That dignity and grace don't always make the loudest headlines. That silence can be strength. And that sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones quietly lived, rather than loudly told. In a world increasingly defined by spectacle and spin, Catherine has become a symbol, not of drama or conflict, but of resilience, patience, and unwavering commitment to truth as it unfolds over time. And Oprah? Her apology felt like redemption, a moment of humility from one of the most influential voices of our time. But was it just redemption or the start of something deeper? Catherine had been under immense stress herself, juggling royal duties, parenting, and the emotional weight of the wedding, that there was a disagreement. But it ended with Catherine apologizing, sending Meghan flowers. A private moment, a sincere gesture, twisted into a public strike. And still, Catherine said nothing, because silence for her wasn't weakness. It was protection of the crown, of her family, and of herself. Then came her greatest trial yet. A sudden disappearance from public life in early 2024. Tabloid speculation ran wild. But when she finally returned, the truth was heavier than anyone had imagined. She was battling cancer, all while shielding her children, fulfilling royal duties when she could, smiling through it all, even when her world must have felt like it was falling apart. There were no interviews, no pity-seeking headlines, just a simple, heartfelt video where her voice cracked with courage, not bitterness. And that's when something began to shift. The public started to see Catherine again, not as the icy Duchess Meghan once described, but as a woman who had weathered storms most would crumble under. And while Meghan's narrative played out loudly, Catherine's story was unfolding in quiet dignity. No attacks, no retaliation, no spotlight seeking, just grace and strength and silence that spoke louder than words ever could. And maybe, just maybe, that's what Oprah finally saw, too. The words, "Kate made me cry," ricocheted around the world. A single sentence, small in sound, seismic in consequence. Because it wasn't just gossip. It was character assassination on the world's biggest stage. Meghan's 2021 interview painted Catherine as cold, aloof, and even cruel. The carefully managed image of the ever-smiling Duchess of Cambridge was shattered in seconds. And Oprah? She didn't flinch. She didn't challenge. She let it roll, eyes wide, mouth open, the audience eating up every moment. But what no one saw was what happened after the lights went off. Sources close to Oprah began to speak quietly years later. At first, she was proud. She believed she had hosted a historic moment, a brave woman speaking truth to power. She saw herself as a vessel for justice, not a participant in drama. But then, the backlash started to trickle in, not just from royalists, from journalists, from neutral viewers, even from Meghan's own supporters. Too many inconsistencies. Too many emotional manipulations. Too many holes that no one could explain. One day it was a royal questioning Archie's skin tone. Another day, no, it wasn't the Queen or Prince Philip. Then a claim about titles being denied, later proven to follow standard royal protocols. And the Kate made me cry story? It began to unravel too. Multiple royal insiders confirmed what many suspected. Yes, there was a disagreement about Princess Charlotte's dress. But Catherine had apologized, sent flowers, and tried to move on. The narrative had been spun. And Oprah? She had helped spin it. Privately, she was rattled. Friends say she agonized over how much she didn't know at the time. She hadn't done the kind of vetting she normally insisted on. She trusted Meghan and Harry as friends, not subject to journalism. In later interviews, the cracks began to show. I wasn't doing it as a journalist, she admitted softly in one conversation. I was doing it as a person who cared. But care isn't the same as truth, and the guilt lingered, especially as Catherine remained silent, never clapping back, never calling out the inconsistencies. And then, Catherine's cancer diagnosis changed everything. It humanized her in a way no media spin ever could. This wasn't the cold Duchess in Meghan's story. This was a mother, a wife, a woman fighting for her life with quiet grace. The public mood shifted fast. Commentators began rewatching the Oprah interview with new eyes. Was it fair, they asked. Did Catherine deserve that portrayal? And all eyes turned, once again, to the woman who'd given Meghan the mic, to Oprah. Behind the scenes, it was a storm. Advisors warned her, don't reopen the wound. Friends whispered, you owe her, but be careful. Still, Oprah couldn't let it go. She reportedly had several intense conversations with longtime colleagues. Some agreed with her, others didn't. One source said she rehearsed the apology multiple times. She didn't want it to sound rehearsed, but she also didn't want to misstep again. And then, during a live TV segment about female strength and resilience, Oprah made the call. No script, no warning, just her truth. I owe Princess Catherine an apology, she said, her voice trembling slightly. She showed a strength I didn't fully understand back then, and I think the world got wrong. It was raw, unfiltered, and deeply risky. But the reaction? Instant. Shock, praise, relief. Some called it too late. Others called it brave. But one thing was certain. A line had been crossed, and finally, some balance had been restored. And, in the end, will grace and integrity win out over spectacle and spin? That's the story still being written.